the choices we've made or the situations that we have found ourselves in, and the way that we've reflected to be able to make different choices. And as we were talking about it, and I was sitting there looking at this reflective, set of questions, I realized I actually had no idea how to reflect. It wasn't something that I did, and it wasn't something that I had ever been taught how to do. Welcome to Don't Step on the Bluebells, the podcast where personal healing and transformation take center stage. I'm your host, Amanda Parker, and I'm a fellow seeker on the journey of personal growth. Join me as I delve into the stories of gifted healers, guides, and everyday people who have experienced remarkable transformations. Listen in as they share their practical wisdom to enrich your everyday life. And don't forget to hit subscribe and never miss a new episode. Welcome to Don't Step on the Bluebells. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the practice of reflection. So this is a part of a mini series of episodes that are all talking about inner wisdom and self-trust, really getting an understanding of how you can better hear your own intuition. So you will have seen previous mini episodes about grounding and protecting your energy. There's an episode about how to actually hear that inner wisdom and that voice when it speaks to you and why it matters. So I share some of my own personal stories of times when I did listen and times when I didn't listen. And today we're just talking about this act of reflection. So reflection is something that seems so simple. And if you're on my Instagram feed, you probably see people talking about things like this all the time, your journaling practice and etc. The truth is that most people don't reflect. So I can remember a moment in time. I actually remember exactly when that moment in time was. It was 2013 or 2014, and I was taking my very first coach training program. So I was working for WWF Germany at the time, and they had this opportunity that you could become an in-house coach. And I was so excited. I had worked with my own coach. I really enjoyed it. I was really excited to learn more about this and to be able to do it with other colleagues inside the organization. So when I had that chance, I joined the program, and we were working through, I don't remember how many months the program was. Maybe it was like 6 months to be able to train as an in-house coach. And one of the exercises that we were looking at was the way that we make changes in our life. And it was all about like decisions, experiences, and then reflecting and then making choices, etc. And I remember that we were talking about our own reflective practices and how we actually take that time to consider what's happened in our life, to think about the choices we've made or the situations that we have found ourselves in, and the way that we've reflected to be able to make different choices. And as we were talking about it, and I was sitting there looking at this reflective, set of questions, I realized I actually had no idea how to reflect. It wasn't something that I did. And it wasn't something that I had ever been taught how to do. So even though throughout my life, I had always kept journals, I had always been, writing, albeit rather inconsistently in my earlier years, I never really understood that the point was to be able to reflect what's happened in my day, what's happening in my life, what's happening in my relationship. Does this feel good? Does this not feel good? What would I like to be different, etc. So I had never actually done that before. The reason I can remember this so clearly is because there was a before and there was an after. There was this moment in time where I suddenly realized I was not reflecting, and I had an understanding of how that really impacted me in a way that I literally had never even conceived of. And I have been seeing it lately, especially like on my LinkedIn feed. I will see people who are talking about these pivotal moments in life, and they're like going through these really big aha moments for them where they're suddenly like, hey, reflection's really important. You should be reflecting. And reading that, I realized, yeah, no, it's true. And most people don't know it. And actually, there is a fountain of wisdom and knowledge and information about how you can reflect and why it has a positive impact on your life. And so many people are still waking up to that. So, as a mitzvah to everyone who is listening, I just want to share with you that it is possible to live your life by choice. And reflection allows you to do that. So if you don't take the time to really reflect and go within, you probably miss a lot of the nuance and richness of your own life, a lot of these lessons that come to you in both small ways and big ways. You know, we always pay attention to the big ones, but without the reflection, you might just feel like a victim, like life is happening to you. And when you really start to reflect more deeply and to think about things like, what's the impact of this on me? How do I feel about it? What am I upset about? What am I happy about? What would I like to be different? When you actually give yourself the opportunity to reflect on that differently, to really see the nuance of how these different events and choices in your life impact you, you give yourself the opportunity to make different, better informed, or more aligned decisions in the future. So reflection is a gateway. And it sounds like such a simple practice, a simple thing, like, duh, of course we have to reflect. But the truth is that most people don't ingrain any kind of practice into their own life. So I'm going to share with you the ways that I do this in my life. Once again, there are so many different techniques or tools that you can use. So you have to find what's best for you. And we will go deeper into this in the Inner Vision Quest, which is my 6-week intuition training that kicks off on October 21st. So this is going to be one of the tools that we're going deeper into to help you find exactly what it is that works for you in your life, that helps you to continue making better aligned and better informed decisions that help you live the life that you actually want to create. So one of those practices is daily journaling. So I have been journaling in different forms throughout my life. I really started to do it more systematically when I read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And she has a practice she calls morning pages. And she basically tells you to sit down every morning and fill 3 pages of a notebook. And she doesn't care what's in there. Every single thing that's in your mind, all of your fears, your doubts, everything you're excited about, your laundry list, like whatever it is goes into the notebook. If you can't even think of what to say, you just write, I don't know what to say, but you better fill the 3 pages. And this practice has allowed me to just see what is that continuous stream of inner dialogue that is always happening. Through my morning pages, I have understood myself so much better. I've understood the things I'm afraid about, the things I'm angry about. I've written about dreams and hopes. I've written about identity shifts. So it all comes out and it's all a mishmash. No one reads these books. You can burn it at the end to make sure of that. But the truth is that you actually allow yourself to voice openly and freely everything that's in your mind without judgment, without feeling like you're doing anything silly or stupid. You just get it all out onto the page. And that's how you're able to actually free your mind from having to think through. And it gives you a chance to see what you're working through, what's actually important to you. If you were to look back at your journals, you might find things that you were working on a year ago are no longer important to you today. And that gives you another chance just to reflect on how far you've come. Or if you see that a year ago you were working through the same exact problems, that's another point of reflection to say, this hasn't changed. Do I want it to? Would I actually like to make this different? Another practice that I use for reflection, I've shared in other videos and other podcast episodes, and that is really using oracle cards. So I like to start my day by asking, what do I need to know today? And I pull a card from whatever my favorite deck is at the time. And I take a look at the image and then I read the book and I'm able to see, does this feel true? How does this relate to my life? So you'll start to notice that a lot of reflecting is also asking yourself some of those deeper questions. What feels true for me? What is working well? What do I want more of? What do I want less of? And really start to inquire into yourself what matters to you, because that gives you clarity to what you like, what you don't like, what you want life to feel like, what you want life to not feel like, the people who are supporting you, the people who are not supporting you, and it allows you to have enough information that you can make informed decisions when the time comes. One more practice that I'll share with you today, and this is something very simple, is just going out in nature for a walk. You might take a 20-minute walk or a 30-minute walk where there's open space. Maybe there's trees. I love to walk amongst the trees. So whatever you have in your vicinity, don't listen to a podcast. Don't listen to an audiobook. Don't text. Don't be on the phone with someone. Just walk and allow yourself to be immersed in the physical space where you are. And I can guarantee you that your thoughts will bring you into a state of reflection. Sometimes it might be very noisy. Oh, why is that man, why is his dog off leash? Or why is she wearing a scarf in July? Whatever, don't judge it. The thoughts will come, the voice will come, because we're not used to giving ourselves that space that we need to just let things settle. So that's all that little like nervousness and movement and shifting that just helps you to settle into the place. But if you make this a practice and do this, 3 times a week, 4 times if you're able to, you will actually start to notice a difference in how you process your thoughts and the things that are happening around you. So this is, again, a very short introduction to what is reflection, why it matters, and a few practices that you can try out on your own. We go into so much more detail on learning how to find your own best practice that serves you to make better decisions in your life in the Inner Vision Quest. So if you're interested to join us in that intuition training, you can go to www.amandaparker.co/inner vision. And you'll have a link to everything you need in the show notes if you would like to join us. So happy reflecting, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give the podcast a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And don't forget to hit subscribe and follow along so you never miss a new episode.